Right then, listen. This market is an absolute wild, wild place. It really is. Of course, you haven't been able to really trade that much. Well, you technically could. But on days like this, it's bank holidays. They always are going to be tricky times to trade. We then see Bitcoin come down and then it shoots back up because Trump's like, yep, okay, cool. We're going to, sorry, there are flies in this place and it's really winding me up. Anyways, Trump coming out saying that there's going to be negotiations. Like, then we've got preparation for war. We've got oil prices going up, gas prices going up, gold going sideways, silver not really doing too much, platinum's going up. Well, why is platinum going up? Who's buying platinum? When you try and put together the logic of what and how to make sense of it, it's clear as day that the market isn't able to find direction. Doesn't mean that you can't exploit these opportunities. But usually the market works in two phases, expansion, contraction. Right now, we are flat. And this is all because Trump has got the markets by the balls, to be honest with you. People are trying to work out, should I put money in ETFs? Should I actually go into commodities? Are we actually going into a full-scale war? All the conspiracy theorists are all coming out. They're saying that the major power that's going to cause the world war is not America. Apparently, it's China. And it all started back in the day in 1980 when China provoked Iran. That's what this guy was saying. So everyone's all coming out with all their logic and what have you, and people just trying to make sense of it. Man, I just want to take some trades, man, make some money and get the, you know? Let's break down exactly what's going on. I'm just going to scour the marketplace for you all. I know it's the Juneteenth holiday. You guys should be with your family. So mad love and respect for everyone passing through to tonight's live stream. Thank you very much. You've been waiting for a dump for 3 days now. Well, bro, your bowels might not be feeling very good right now. Oh, yeah. Oh, to 100K. That is very good. Very good. Very good. Anyways, let's... Do you like what I said in the description? I made that up, man. I feel really proud. Go check out what I said in the description. Anyways, let's break it all down, man. This heat is rocking my brain. Anyways, so here we go. Trump weighs strikes on Iran. Now, this was updated 8:15 UK time. So that was just under an hour ago. Okay? Trump weighs strikes on Iran. Trump says talks with Iran could happen in the near future. I mean, how are you going to trade that? Come on. How do you do it? It's all about dropping your size and becoming a volatility trader. Because you can be an investor and witness the madness. Or you can become a trader and just try and exploit opportunities when you get titles like this, okay? Levette obviously revealed all of that stuff, and that effectively led Bitcoin to make a very interesting move to the upside earlier on. Look at that. Came down to sweep the Asian session range and again just made a little spike up. Happy days, but then they just give it all back. This giving it all back just proves to you that investors are not committed and they want to sell as soon as they can. And that's what you've got to take into consideration. You're dealing with short-term mentality, okay? Now, how many of you are on the prospect that Bitcoin's going to go to 100K? There's a possibility that Bitcoin does go to 100K. That logic will come into effect once we start breaking down the 102 region. Bitcoin has been going sideways, but I think what's going on, there's a bigger player coming into this marketplace, and I think you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. We've been banging on about this for quite some time. Circle. I said it. The day Circle gets that IPO, game changer. It's going to rock the boat. It's going to have everyone just coming out of Coinbase and going to Circle. Check this out. Circle grows faster than Tether this year. Going into it, you can see that Google trend popularity, USDC starting to climb, and USDT is just knacked, okay? And then 3-month volume, it says Q4 2024 versus trailing 3 months per Bitstamp USD pairs. USDT ain't being traded as much as USDC. So, of course, the Genius Bill, that's getting passed. Circle IPO. Coinbase is going to struggle. Well, this is what I'm going to get you in on. So if you are going to consider investing in Circle, make sure you're paying attention to this. So in front of you, I'm going to give you the logic of what to look for. And I've done this before. I do it many, many times. But what I'm trying to convey to you guys is from a investing point of view, where you can expect Circle to end up. Hold on a second. Let me just get rid of this. Let me get rid of that. Okay, cool. So in front of you is the daily chart for the Circle, okay? Its IPO was only a few days ago, and it has seen a significant amount of success on its IPO, a very successful IPO, way more successful than what Coinbase had, okay? So what you've got to look for is this. Circle itself, and a great question was asked earlier on by Victoria in the Discord, asking about how she could effectively use Circle and USDT to try and just improve the edge in some way to understand the yields, okay? Or the yield of USDT, and could we use that the same way that we use the yields in terms of the bond market? When the yields are up, the stock market goes down. When the yields are down, the stock market goes up, okay? She touched on a really good question. So I'm going to just break this logic down for you for the person at entry level that wants to understand if buying this stock and what to look for. Now, this is, of course, the work of William J. O'Neill. God rest his soul. He passed away, but he is the creator. He's the dude that sent me the chart. Didn't personally send it, but he said, ah, man, he's been with us for quite some time. Let's send him the chart. So I don't know the guy, but, you know, he was the guy who pioneered the canceling method, and that is an acronym, okay? Now, an acronym for, I'm not going to get into it just to blow your minds, but let me just stick with it. Here we go. So below you can see here that we have got quarterly earnings, because before its IPO, it was operating as a business. So you can see below that it's got 21% on sales, earnings pretty bad. 21% again on sales, earnings pretty bad. 21% on sales and earnings pretty bad. So it's been pretty much the same story for them, okay? Now, what you've got to look for, okay, is if you start to see, now you've got to have a long-term mindset for this. And when I say long-term, I mean quarterly, all right? If you start to see their earnings and their sales accelerating. So hypothetically, if next month, or sorry, the next quarter on the earnings of Circle, if it shows that their earnings are like a crazy amount, say it's an increase of like 150% or 200%, you're going to get that because they've just had an injection of liquidity. They've just provided a service. Naturally, it's going to grab attention. It's going to look great, okay? But what you got to look out for is to see if that is going to continue. Now, you've also got to take into consideration that we will be subject to cyclical behavior. That means when everyone's getting involved in the stablecoin business, everyone right now at entry level is excited about this stablecoin story. So Circle is going to benefit from that, okay? But there will be times when people won't be getting into it. They'll be coming out of it and they'll be moving money about. And then when that happens, you'll probably see a reduction in the earnings and a reduction in the sales. But primarily, this stock is the leader. This would be the equivalent of NVIDIA in the AI market. But Circle would be the dominant side in terms of the stablecoin market. Because A, it's American, not just that, it's USDC, and Tether is Chinese. And we ain't really got great things happening with that. Okay? So there's a lot to take into consideration at a fundamental perspective. Now, this hasn't been updated yet in terms of the fund ownership. And I'm going to be pulling this up every single time just to monitor if we're going to start seeing any fund owners stepping in. We know that management holds 3% of the stock. So we're now waiting to see how many banks are going to participate and how many funds are going to participate and take up that supply of the stock. The more banks and funds get involved in this, the more chances that this stock is going to keep on going up. There will be consolidation periods. However, this is, as a major player right now for the stablecoin market, has got the trajectory to keep going up. Its volume is so significant that puts massive weight onto it. Now, look, On a day-to-day basis, 39.2 million. That's 39,202,200 shares are exchanging hands in this stock. They say that you really only want to be playing with stocks that have got to trade 1 million shares or more from a day trading perspective, okay? Because the lower the amount of shares that investors are trading, it's more prone to volatility. But when you see a stock like this trading 39 million shares on what is it right now? We are day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, nearly 10 days worth of trading, and it's still sustaining this wild volume. It's showing to you that investors are really plowing into this, and they've had 1, 2, 3 days of negative volume, but the majority of it has been solid. So if you were to consider it as an investment in the future, what you're really investing in is adoption of this stable coin, okay? And the process and the creation and the environment and the opportunities that it creates, okay? That's what you're investing in. It's a long-term play like Bitcoin. But fundamentally, as a company, it's got the solid background. Now, Arthur Hayes has turned around and said that it could be a stablecoin mania, but you've got the Genius bill, and there is regulatory framework behind it. So that is a good thing. But in my opinion, it's starting off really well. There will be corrections. It will pull back, okay? But what you're investing in is not the price action, not the price, but the purpose of what they're trying to achieve, okay? So it will serve to just keep an eye on how they're doing things, because they're hitting the news and I'm breaking out in a sweat because it's so hot and my AC isn't switched on. Now, let's just break things down a second. What's been going on? Putin has declared that Russia is going to take full control of the Ukraine. Whether the sources are valid or not, it goes on to what he was saying earlier on in this conversation. It says here, if Ukraine does not reach an agreement with Russia in Istanbul now, the situation for them will change for the worse. There is no need to drag it out. It's like Putin effectively was the dude or the aggressor beforehand, and now he's the one that's like, hey, man, we want to talk about things. Why? Because he's got sanctions on his head. Russia, Trump's like, if you're not playing ball, then come on. I mean, he's being pulled in as a mediator for Iran. Like, this is something that's very, very interesting. So you've got that story right there, okay? Then you've got this story about these 16 billion passwords, which has, in principle, been debunked by this dude right here, Hypoxia, okay? Don't know who the person is, but he's come out with something and he says it's total BS. He says you're fine. It says the 16 billion pairs, username and password, are all collated since leaks began happening. And he says it means a huge portion of them are duplicated or over 10 years old, back when security practices were worse. It says here that in the article, they cite that they show Google encouraging passkeys, the most common of which are biometrics. So if you don't trust the US government, do not use biometrics. They're not protected under the Fifth Amendment, too busy to go into case law here. So just read the GPT screenshot below. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for you. And that hasn't really changed anything going on. But going into it, US Bitcoin ETF approaches $1 trillion in trading volume. Do you understand why that is a problem for us? Tell me, listen, give me your comments. Why is this a problem? Why is this $1 trillion worth of trading volume a problem? And I want to know if anyone does actually say it. And if you say it's good, Chino, because it means Bitcoin's price is going to be going up, that's not the answer. Tell me why you think this, being $1 trillion in trading volume, is a problem for us, but not for BlackRock. Give me your comments. Come on. I want to know what the story is. Where you at? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Banks will have their own stable coins. Yes, they certainly shall. I've got some news on XRP as well, and it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. So if you are an XRP holder, get ready for this news, man. You're gonna love this. Trust me, you're gonna love it. No one wants real Bitcoin. Okay, there you go. So Victoria's come with that. It's not going into Bitcoin itself. No. Tino is the type of guy known to fold his laundry before placing it in the washing. You come out with some good stuff. I like it. I like it. Increased volatility? No. Control and volatility makes it more centralized? No. There we go. Mr. TG Fath has said it. Fees, ladies and gentlemen. That means fees. That means range. That means control. That means your Bitcoin's fucked. That's the truth. The higher the trading volume, the more participation, the more fees BlackRock earn, the less volatility Bitcoin becomes. That's the truth. So when you think about it, we only wanted Bitcoin to come into the ETF or get the ETF because we wanted Bitcoin to go up. You got 2 all-time highs. You got one from it, and that was 70K. And then Bitcoin just said, nope, I'm going to stay sideways for flipping 3 months. Right? Every bank that declares its earnings, the only thing that gives them the revenue that they want is trading activities. And that right there sells you the idea that $1 trillion in trading volume means what? And given that BlackRock, it says here, US Bitcoin spots near $1 trillion in trading volume. What the hell? Oh my days, what a guy. Sorry. Yeah. Near the trading in 18 months, BlackRock leads with 70 billion assets under management and a 79% volume share. These guys are making bank. So much bank. It's disgusting. Speaking of which, you ready for the good news? How many of you hold XRP in this live stream? Come on. This heat is... Oh, what are you talking about now, Trump? He's on about Border Patrol. Okay. How many of you hold XRP? Because I've got some really great news for you. I'm just going to get the chart set up for you, just to put it into perspective. I am actually going to bring up XRP for a second, but I would like to know how many of you are actually holders of XRP right now. I really want to know, because I've got the best news for you, and I ain't even lying. And this is not even a joke at all. All right, come on, how many? Give me me's. If you have XRP, you have to subscribe, because I do give you relevant information on XRP, and I think it's sound advice. I really do think it is. All right. So we're a team, man. We're all together in this absolute nightmare of an asset class. We have got North America's first XRP ETFs on the Toronto Exchange, right? I'm done with it, man. I'm finished. I just can't be bothered with it. First ETF, man. Look at that for interest. Even price targets for XRP now being projected to $1.89 because trading volume has just dwindled. There's no interest in it. I mean, you've just had an ETF. It's been listed. It's all live. That is the interest. They're desperate, ladies and gentlemen. That's what they are. Don't give me that it's loading. That is bullshit, all right? It's been loading since it came out, all right? This is worse than dial-up, all right? Back when even internet, when it first came out, that moved faster than XRP. Like, come on. Solana's got potential. XRP is up 0.3 cents. Wife changing money. Trust me, bruv. You tell your wife that you've got XRP. She's changing. Yes. You probably have the best wife. But you tell her you've got XRP. It's see you later, man. You know, that's... Women out there, you should always ask if any future partners or your existing partner holds XRP, because you're going to need to do one, man. Because this asset is going to stress them out. Anyways. Stop talking crypto and stick to NASDAQ, Tino. Crypto is done. Is crypto done? Listen, NASDAQ and XRP, how dare I even compare it? Get off my screen. Anyways. Bitcoin, let's just quickly break it all down and understand what is happening across the board. So today, it's been a quiet day for the marketplace, in the sense where it's been not out of hours, but they've been responding to all sorts of information. NASDAQ hasn't technically, well, it has sort of reacted to Trump in this idea about the this truce, or should I say a deal in the future. But with that being said, I just want to draw your attention to something. In front of you is the stock bond ratio. I mentioned it earlier on, and look at where we are. We're currently at a peak right now where stocks are overvalued in relation to the bonds. And it really does help you understand whether now is a time to start buying stocks, because they are mathematically overvalued in comparison to the bonds. It's pretty simple. You look at NASDAQ on the higher time frames, and this is where value currently resides. It is at the all-time highs near enough, getting very close. And what could send NASDAQ to its all-time highs? I want to see the all-time highs, but what could do it? No more war with Iran? Maybe. But apparently, Iran has 5 months worth of ballistics. It can last up to 5 months with this war as long as their main guns are not taken out. Okay? Trump's not going to make a decision for another 2 weeks. We've got 2 weeks of this madness. Okay? Not to forget about what's going on with Trump and Ukraine. I mean, it's brilliant, isn't it? It is absolutely brilliant. Defense-based stocks, ladies and gentlemen. Get in. Speaking of which, Israel has decided now it's going to start cutting its supply of gas to Egypt. Look at gas. On that nice pump, already up 2.36%, up to $4. Okay? When they start cutting supplies, minimizing it or limiting, it's going to naturally fluctuate price. Naturally, investors seek commodities. Bang. Gas moving up. Oil only trading up 0.52%. And it's only going to move on the basis of developments regarding this war. So as long as you keep on hearing about Israel and Iran, oil's price is going to keep on climbing up. Investors are waiting for it. They're waiting to see. I mean, you've got price projections from major banks talking about already it's achieved an $8 move. There is prospects of a $130 move in oil, but something bad would really have to happen. Trump would have to get severely involved in this war and oil will shoot up. And I don't think Trump wants to do that. I really don't think so, because all he's been banging on about is low inflation, energy prices are low. Now what has he got? He's got tariffs that could affect inflation. Now you've got energy that could affect inflation. So why on earth would he be screaming for the potential for a rate cut? You get the rate cuts when oil's going up, when you've got a war that everyone's reacting to. You're naturally going to be putting yourself back into the race of how to get inflation back down again. And that's the problem that we've got. Now, he's been cussing out Jerome Powell. He's been insulting him badly. He called him stupid, and that was hard enough. But then he went for it and started cussing at him really badly. And that's not fair, Trump, man. I get your frustration because everyone is just violating your dollar right now. But come on, you ain't made it easy. You started this with your tariffs. Someone unsubscribed to the channel because he said that I cussed at the boy, as in Donald Trump. I've got his trainers on my wall, man. Chill out. And I hope you're watching. You know? Anyways, Trump is harder to predict than the stock market. True. Trump is harder to predict. If he's not saying something, he's typing something. Like, you know, Biden, man. Back in the day. Remember when Biden was just, he said nothing. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I said I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Right, okay. Paul Tudor Jones, who's a legit badass, is calling oil the trade of the summer. Correct. I agree with him. Oil is the trade of the summer. Let's just put that logic together, okay? Oil is going up because there is intention to buy it. It's not moving up because of a macro story. It's moving up because this is what investors know. They know that they have to come here because of what's going on. It's what they do. It's the legacy markets, the legacy way. It's the Wall Street way of thinking. Historically, before every major event, oil pumps. That's the greatest indicator. And of course, the stripper index as well. When tips for strippers start to come down, that is a true recession, ladies and gentlemen. I saw a TikTok of a gentleman who was talking about how strippers, okay, have been coming on to X talking about the idea that they ain't getting the same tips that they would normally get. That is where you know they're in a recession, because even guys ain't looking to tip the strippers, and things must be difficult. Ain't that mad? Ain't that mad? Can you please show us the bids and offers for Bitcoin? I'm going to do that for you. And whilst we're at that, okay, make sure you're liking and subscribing. Make sure you're going to tradersreality.com and taking the free course. You can become a member too, okay, where you get access to these beautiful PDFs that break down strategies on how to make sense of how to trade when Trump talks. There's not really a strategy in there, but one of the strategies is the V-shaped reversal, because he says something, the market reacts, and then it comes back up. Pretty much similar to, I mean, those are all the PDFs right there. Just go to tradersreality.com. It's pinned to the top of the chat and you'll be able to see that. But if you saw what Bitcoin did today, okay, it did just that. V-shaped reversal, 1 minute time frame. Let's just freshen this. Here we go. And there it is. Nice little V-shaped reversal, structure, W formation and all that. Red vector candles to the upside. Platinum members, that chart that I shared earlier on the S&P, same thing with Bitcoin, isn't it? Okay. Now, this was a result of news coming out. But if you were not on the expectation of news coming out, you would be basing the idea that price was going to come back into these vectors, and you start seeing the green vector candles below the moving averages. Yeah. Wait for the first blue or green vector candles starting to come into play at the lows after a move to the downside, then gives you the logic that price is going to start working at least back up to the midpoint of the range that they dropped. Then you would have caught this massive move up. That was luck because Trump spoke. It probably would have come up towards the red vector and then come back down a little bit more. But that was effectively comments made by Trump, shaking out all those traders, quickly going into the order flow for my guy. Hardly anything on the books. Literally hardly anything on the books, ladies and gentlemen. This is where you're getting these wild price swings. No one's really planting orders. No one's really taking orders. I mean, you've got very light liquidity down below here. And then, of course, you've got nothing happening. But we all know that when the stock market comes back after a bank holiday, we know it comes back with a vengeance. And going into tomorrow, we haven't got really anything to be too concerned about. Let me just quickly show you here. Tomorrow, we, of course, have on Friday, well, going into this evening, we have Bank of Japan Ueda speaking. Now, we know where we are with the Bank of Japan because they're not going to be cutting any rates or increasing their rates anytime soon. What I think they might be going to talk about is, of course, the relationship that USD JPY has in relation to their currency pair. And they're going to be disclosing their process behind their bonds as well, because Japan have been buying their bonds for so long, and people are getting a little bit concerned about it, and their yields are starting to pull back a bit. And they're going to, I think they're just going to be talking about reassuring their investors, domestic and commercial, that it's okay to buy Japanese bonds because Japan have been buying back bonds quite aggressively and they're concerned about it, which is why their yield was going up so much. Okay. Now, if the Japanese bonds are going up, then that would imply that the yen should be going up, but the yen is coming back down a little bit. It is down negative 0.3%. However, if the yen starts to go down and the dollar starts to go up, then that could imply that the market is in a carry. However, if the stock market's not going up on the back of the dollar going up, it means that they're seeking the dollar as a safe haven, which would pretty much make sense why gold isn't really moving on the back of the news announcements and whatever's going on with regards to the war. Now, remember, gold is going to move on the expectation of interest rates being cut. Doesn't look like they're cutting the rates anytime soon now, does it? Because gold would have moved up on the FOMC and it hasn't gone anywhere. All right? So with that being said, how to make sense of the marketplace? You just got to pay attention to Trump. Pay attention to what the story is with Israel and Iran. But when you're looking at Circle, seriously now, when you're considering investing in Circle, don't invest in its price or its price action. Invest in what is going on in the environment of stable coins. And as long as you're keeping on top of that, and look, put it like this. There's $1 trillion in merger and acquisitions that are currently sat in cash. They're not even buying and selling companies because people don't know how to navigate the risk. They don't. $1 trillion sat in M&As just waiting to be put to work. They don't know where to put the money. They don't want to take the risk in case they go and merge with a company and everything goes to pan. Yeah? With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, mad love and respect. Hope you've enjoyed your Juneteenth. We get back into it tomorrow. It is the weekend. And remember, when the stock market comes back after a bank holiday, it can be pretty brutal. So let's just hope it's good news all round. All right? Mad love and respect. Sell XRP and change your wife. Well, no. Sell the XRP to keep the wife. Yeah. I'm too hot, man. Peace. Shit.